Tonight, the 7 Action News investigators are exposing a scandal. A neighborhood revitalization project that turned into a major disaster. What was supposed to be a brand new subdivision was abandoned in midstream.
Here's where it really gets bad. Your tax dollars now being used to tear down homes that are only a few years old. Now, there are a lot of players involved, including at least 2 convicted criminals, and nobody has a straight answer on why things fell apart. Here's Scott Lewis.
You're about to see some video that'll leave you asking what in the world is going on here. The giant jaws of death are clamping down on an 8-year-old home in Highland Park. In less than an hour, it'll be reduced to a pile of rubble. The demolition contractor usually tears down houses that are 50 or 60 years old. But something this new?
Brand new drywall, brand new doors, brand new windows, brand new everything, insulation, everything. It's all in the landfill, gone.
It's not just this house. We counted 19 vacant, nearly new homes, many marked for demolition and heading for a landfill. What a waste.
It's just, to me, Habitat Humanity could have came in at least stripped before I ripped it down.
The 7 Action News investigators have been looking into this colossal failure for weeks, asking, how did this happen? Nobody seems to have an answer. This man, Ari Schottenstein, was the financier on the project, but he's not talking.
Is there a reason you can't talk? Are you still on parole for the house flipping scheme in Columbus?
We'll get back to this guy and his checkered past in a minute. Right now, how this project went from high hopes to havoc. It was conceived, planned, and started when Highland Park was near bankruptcy and being run by the state. Then Governor Granholm appointed a CPA, Ramona Henderson Pearson, to be the emergency financial manager. And Fred Durhall, current state rep and Detroit mayoral candidate, was economic development director on loan from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation.
It was a housing project that, had it not failed, would have changed the entire face of Highland Park.
North Point Village was an ambitious plan, put in 153 factory-built homes. Fred Durhall assembled the land, a builder and developer were hired, and Ari Schottenstein would bring private financing in. But shortly after dignitaries gathered for the groundbreaking in 2005, there was a shakeup in Highland Park. Ramona Pearson was ousted as emergency financial manager and replaced by Art Blackwell. Then Blackwell gave Durhall the boot. Blackwell, who is currently on probation after pleading guilty to mismanaging funds while emergency manager, says the project was doomed from the start.
When I went over there, I knew it couldn't work. Who would pay $130,000 or $20,000 or $30,000 for that home?
Up to $155,000 for an 1,100 square foot house in Highland Park? And there were problems with the houses too.
They had no back door. They had no steps off the back door wall and no garages.
Most of them were 3-story skinny minis, not very appealing. And on top of that, the basements were flooding and sub pumps were dumping water right along the foundations. Some folks ran these plastic pipes all the way to the back alleys to keep their yards from turning into swamps. Not exactly quality construction. The homes weren't selling, and before long, the project stopped in its tracks. Squatters, metal thieves, and arsonists moved in, and now it's come to this. Fred Durhall has taken a lot of heat over this deal, but he insists it could have worked if he was allowed to see it through.
I think it was a good housing project. I just think that things happened somewhere along in the financing and what have you, and it fell apart.
And that brings us back to the finance guy, Ari Schottenstein. I discovered that he and several cohorts were running a house flipping scheme in Columbus, Ohio, at the same time he was promising to bankroll the Highland Park project. They stole $30 million from investors, telling him they were rehabbing houses, but the money went into their pockets. Schottenstein did 3.5 years in federal prison and was ordered to pay nearly $4 million in restitution. So does he know where the money went for the aborted project in Highland Park?
You showed Fred Durhall a check for $2 million, so there must have been some money there.
I can't speak of that right now.
You can't even just tell me generally why the thing fell apart? I mean, they're tearing down these new houses.
I'm so sorry.
And so are the people who thought they were getting a new neighborhood and wound up with a mess.
Something went wrong in that process. Either someone walked off with the money, someone got paid under the table, because several of them shouldn't have had certificates of occupancy.
Art Blackwell and Highland Park's current mayor both blame the state of Michigan for this disaster. After all, they were running Highland Park when this happened, and both of them say these homes should never have passed inspection.
Even though from the outside, you know, if you ride by, it looked like it's a nice house, homes, but the quality of the homes that were built over in North Point was not up to standard.
The state has to approve every design and permit because the City of Highland Park didn't have its own building department. The City of Highland Park relied on the state.
Quite a few of these homes are still occupied. Many went into foreclosure and wound up selling for as little as $5,000. Some of the owners aren't able to get clear title now, and they have huge assessments for back taxes and water bills. The state of Michigan says they had no financial involvement in the project. The project's developer puts some of the blame on Art Blackwell, saying he didn't follow through on promises that were made, such as providing security for the homes that got looted. Highland Park's mayor says something was rotten with this deal, and he would welcome an outside investigation to get to the bottom of it. I'm Scott Lewis, 7 Action News.